Do you know the only successful slave revolution in history was led by Africans in Haiti? This is not just a story of rebellion. This is a story of the impossible becoming possible. A story of human beings who were treated worse than animals, who rose up and defeated three of the most powerful empires on earth. This is the story of the Haitian Revolution. The year is 1791. The place is Saint-Domingue, the French colony we now know as Haiti. But this was no ordinary colony. Saint-Domingue was the richest colony in the entire world. It produced more wealth than all 13 American colonies combined. Half of all the sugar and coffee consumed in Europe came from this small Caribbean island. But this wealth was built on unspeakable horror. Over 500,000 enslaved Africans worked the plantations of Saint-Domingue. The mortality rate was so high that French plantation owners calculated it was cheaper to work enslaved people to death and buy new ones than to keep them alive. Let me repeat that. It was cheaper to work people to death. The average life expectancy for an enslaved African in Saint-Domingue was just 7 years after arrival. 7 years of hell before death became a mercy. They worked 16 to 18 hours a day in the blazing Caribbean sun, cutting sugarcane with machetes, boiling sugar in massive cauldrons that could burn them alive if they fell in. And they did fall in. The punishments? Unimaginable. Whippings that tore flesh from bone. Limbs cut off for trying to escape. People buried alive up to their necks and left to die slowly in the sun. Enslaved people were burned alive, broken on the wheel, fed to dogs. This was not slavery as many imagine it. This was systematic torture on an industrial scale. But in 1789, something happened across the ocean in France that would change everything. The French Revolution erupted. Common people overthrew the king, shouting, "Liberty, equality, fraternity." The Declaration of the Rights of Men proclaimed that all men are born free and equal. News of this revolution reached Saint-Domingue, and the enslaved people had a question. If all men are born free and equal, what about us? The white plantation owners laughed. These rights, they said, were for white men only, not for Africans, not for the enslaved. But there was a problem. Saint-Domingue had a complex society. There were 40,000 white colonists. There were 30,000 free people of color, mixed-race individuals, some of whom even owned property and slaves themselves. And there were 500,000 enslaved Africans. The mathematics were simple. The enslaved outnumbered their masters more than 10 to 1. All they needed was a spark. On the night of August 14, 1791, in the depths of the forest at a place called Bois Cayman, that spark was lit. Over 200 enslaved leaders gathered for a secret voodoo ceremony. A priestess named Cecile Fatimon presided. A black pig was sacrificed. And under the storm-torn sky, a man named Duty Boukman gave a speech that would ignite a revolution. The God of the white man calls him to commit crimes. Our God asks only good works from us. But this God who is so good orders revenge. He will direct our arms and aid us. Throw away the image of the God of the whites who thirsts for our tears. Listen to the voice of liberty that speaks in all our hearts. 7 days later, the island exploded in flames. On the night of August 22, 1791, the enslaved people of Saint-Domingue rose as one. Within hours, over 1,000 plantations were burning. The sky turned red with flames that could be seen for miles. The sugar that had made France rich was now ash. And the enslaved people? They were no longer enslaved. The white colonists were terrified. Many fled to the cities, abandoning everything. Those who stayed, many did not survive. The revolutionaries showed no mercy. And why should they? They had been shown none. Within weeks, 100,000 enslaved people had joined the rebellion. They armed themselves with machetes, farming tools, stolen guns, whatever they could find. The French colonial government was in chaos. They called for help from France. They even tried to negotiate with the revolutionaries. But it was too late. The fire had been lit. It could not be put out. Into this chaos stepped a man who would become a legend. His name was François-Dominique Toussaint L'Ouverture. History would know him as Toussaint L'Ouverture. The opening. Toussaint was 48 years old when the revolution began. He had been born into slavery, but had been freed years before. He was educated. He could read and write, which was rare. He had studied the great military commanders: Julius Caesar, Alexander the Great, Napoleon. And now, he would put that knowledge to use. Toussaint joined the revolution and quickly rose through the ranks. Why? Because he understood something the other leaders did not. This was not just about revenge. This was about creating a new nation. And to do that, they needed strategy, organization, discipline. Toussaint transformed a mob of angry ex-slaves into an army. He instituted military training. He established supply lines. He created a hierarchy of command. He negotiated alliances. He played the French, Spanish, and British against each other with the skill of a master chess player. And he was ruthless, not cruel, but absolutely determined. He executed traitors without hesitation. He burned crops to deny the enemy's supplies. He used guerrilla tactics: hit and run, ambush, disappear into the mountains. The Europeans had never faced an enemy like this. The revolutionaries knew every mountain path, every hidden valley, every water source. They could move quickly through terrain that Europeans found impossible. They struck at night. They melted into the population. They fought with a desperation that professional soldiers could not match. Because for them, defeat meant death. Or worse, a return to slavery. News of the Haitian Revolution spread across the Atlantic world like wildfire. In France, the revolutionaries debated: should we support liberty in Haiti, as we proclaimed in Paris? Or protect our profitable colony? Greed won. France sent 40,000 soldiers to crush the rebellion and restore slavery. Britain saw an opportunity. They invaded, hoping to seize the rich colony for themselves. They sent 60,000 troops. Spain, controlling the other half of the island, sent their forces as well. So let's be clear about what happened next. A revolution of formerly enslaved people, outnumbered, outgunned, with no formal training, no navy, no international support, faced armies from France, Britain, and Spain simultaneously. Three of the most powerful empires on earth. And do you know what happened? The enslaved people won. Between 1791 and 1804, the Haitian revolutionaries fought for 13 years of continuous warfare. The British arrived with 60,000 soldiers. Yellow fever and guerrilla warfare killed so many that Britain abandoned the campaign after losing over 45,000 men. The British Empire, which had conquered much of the world, retreated in defeat. The Spanish were pushed back across the border. And France? Napoleon Bonaparte, the greatest military mind of the age, sent his brother-in-law General Leclerc with 40,000 veteran soldiers, the same troops that had conquered Europe. Toussaint fought brilliantly, but the French were too many, too well equipped. So Toussaint made a decision that haunts history. He agreed to negotiate. A peace treaty was signed. Toussaint would retire. The killing would stop. It was a trap. In June 1802, Toussaint was invited to a meeting with French officers. When he arrived, he was arrested. He was shackled, thrown into the hold of a ship, and sent to France. He was imprisoned in Fort de Joux, a freezing fortress in the Jura Mountains. The man who had survived the Caribbean heat was locked in a tiny cell where snow drifted through the window. Toussaint L'Ouverture, the man who had defeated 3 empires, died alone in that frozen cell on April 7, 1803. He was 59 years old. Before he died, Toussaint said something that echoes through history. "In overthrowing me, you have cut down in Saint-Domingue only the trunk of the tree of liberty. It will spring up again by the roots, for they are numerous and deep." He was right. The revolution did not die with Toussaint. If anything, it became more fierce. Jean-Jacques Dessalines, one of Toussaint's generals, took command. Dessalines was different from Toussaint. Where Toussaint had been diplomatic, Dessalines was fire and fury incarnate. When the French tried to reimpose slavery, the revolutionaries exploded with renewed rage. The final battle came at Verrières on November 18, 1803. The revolutionaries, knowing this was their last chance, charged French fortifications with a desperation that shocked the Europeans. They climbed walls under cannon fire. They fought hand to hand. They refused to retreat even as their comrades fell beside them. The French broke. They ran. The greatest army in the world ran from former slaves. On November 29, 1803, the French evacuated. After 12 years of fighting, after losing over 50,000 soldiers to battle and disease, the French Empire admitted defeat. On January 1, 1804, Jean-Jacques Dessalines stood before his people and declared independence. The colony of Saint-Domingue was dead. The nation of Haiti was born. Listen to the power of Dessalines' words. "We have dared to be free. Let us dare to be so by ourselves and for ourselves. Let us ensure that no trace remains of slavery in this land." Haiti became the first independent black republic in the world, the first nation in the Western Hemisphere to permanently abolish slavery, the second independent nation in the Americas after the United States. But unlike the United States, Haiti had truly meant it when they said, "All men are created equal." For one shining moment, the impossible had become real. Enslaved Africans had defeated the greatest empires on earth. They had won their freedom not by asking for it, not by waiting for it, but by taking it with their own hands. But the world was not ready to accept what Haiti had done. The world punished Haiti for daring to be free. Think about what Haiti represented to the slave-owning powers. Proof that enslaved people could win. Proof that the entire system of slavery was vulnerable. Proof that black people were not inferior. This terrified them. The United States refused to recognize Haiti's independence for 60 years. Why? Because the southern states, built on slavery, feared that recognizing Haiti would inspire their own enslaved people to revolt. Thomas Jefferson, who wrote, "All men are created equal," called Haiti a threat to all white civilizations. The man who spoke of liberty refused it to Haiti. Britain, which would later claim to be against slavery, imposed trade embargoes. Spain did the same. Haiti was isolated, cut off from international trade. But France committed an act of such cruelty that its effects are still felt today. In 1825, French warships appeared in Haiti's harbor. France had a simple message: pay us for your freedom, or we will re-enslave you. France demanded 150 million francs, approximately $21 billion in today's money, as compensation for lost property. And by property, they meant the enslaved people who had freed themselves. Haiti would have to pay its former masters for the crime of being free. The Haitian government, faced with the threat of reinvasion, agreed. They had no choice. They borrowed money from French banks at outrageous interest rates to pay France. This debt consumed 80% of Haiti's national budget. For over 100 years, Haiti paid and paid and paid. The final payment wasn't made until 1947, almost 150 years after independence. Imagine that. Imagine working for your freedom, fighting for your freedom, winning your freedom, and then being forced to buy it again from the people who had enslaved you. And then imagine your children paying for it, and your grandchildren, and your great-great-grandchildren. This is not ancient history. There are people alive today whose grandparents were still paying this debt. In 2003, Haiti formally demanded that France repay this blood money. With interest, it would be over $21 billion. France refused. The money was never returned. So why does the Haitian Revolution matter? Because it proves something the powerful did not want proven: that enslaved people could free themselves, that black people could defeat white armies, that the natural order that justified slavery was a lie. News of Haiti's victory spread through the slave world like lightning. In Jamaica, in Brazil, in the United States, enslaved people heard the story and thought, if they could do it, so can we. Denmark Vesey, who planned a slave rebellion in South Carolina in 1822, was inspired by Haiti. Nat Turner in Virginia in 1831, inspired by Haiti. Every slave rebellion in the Americas after 1804 carried Haiti's spirit. The abolitionist movement in Britain and America gained strength because Haiti had proven that black people deserved and could maintain freedom. When Brazil abolished slavery in 1888, becoming the last country in the Americas to do so, it was Haiti that had started the dominoes falling 84 years earlier. And the legacy continued. When Africans fought for independence from European colonialism in the 1950s and 60s, they looked to Haiti as proof that it could be done. When African Americans marched for civil rights, they carried the spirit of Haiti with them. Haiti was the first domino. Everything that came after, every freed slave, every independent African nation, every civil rights victory, carries a piece of Haiti's DNA. Do you know the only successful slave revolution in history was led by Africans in Haiti? Now you do. And now you know the price they paid for it. The debt forced upon them. The isolation. The punishment for daring to be free. But you also know this. They won. Against impossible odds, outnumbered, outgunned, facing the greatest empires on earth. They won. The enslaved people of Haiti defeated France, Britain, and Spain. They created a nation. They abolished slavery permanently. They proved to the world that freedom is not given. It is taken. Haiti's revolution changed the world. The world tried to make Haiti pay for it. But nothing. Not debt, not isolation, not punishment, could erase what Haiti proved: that every human being deserves freedom, and that human beings will fight for it no matter the cost. This was the Haitian Revolution. Remember it. Honor it. Tell its story. Because Haiti's freedom fighters didn't just change their own history. They changed ours.